Hello dear students, I hope you are doing well and safe at home and you are utilizing your time properly for doing all the problems. So in this video we are going to discuss about differentiability. So in the previous videos we have discussed about continuity and solved a few problems from 5.1 and now let us see differentiability. So in your grade 11 you have got derivative of a point, isn't it? So what is that? A function f is said to have a derivative at any point x if limit h tends to 0 fx plus h minus fx by h exists. So if this limit exists and this limit is finite and is unique, then we can say that the derivative of the function f exists at any point x. Okay. So when I say the limit exists, what does it mean? It means that the left hand limit and the right hand limits are equal. So in other words, I can say that at a point x is equal to c. Let me consider the same function. This function has a derivative at the point x is equal to c if the left hand derivative, that is lf dash c, which is given by limit h tends to c negative f of x plus c minus f of x divided by h is equal to r of f dash c limit h tends to c positive f of x plus c minus f of x divided by h. So if these two limits are same, then we can say that the derivative at this point exists. Fine. Okay. So this is called the left hand derivative of the function f at the point c, and this is called the right hand derivative of the function f at the point c. So after this we can define some properties, that is, we can say algebra of derivatives. So you have got this also in your grade 11. So what is that? The number one we have, suppose u and v are two functions, two real valued functions, then u dash and v dash, then u plus v dash is given by u dash plus v dash. So what are u dash and v dash? So a derivative, that means this derivative can be represented as f dash x, or this can be represented as ddx of f, or sometimes we denote it by f dash. So similarly here u dash, or this u dash should resemble the derivative of u, and this you call the derivative of v, and this is the addition of both. The next we have is u minus v dash is given by u dash minus v dash. Third property we have is product of u and v, that is u and v dash, and is the derivative of u and v. You have to find it. And first we need to write first function into derivative of second function plus second function into derivative of first function. Fine. The fourth one we have is u divided by v dash, it is derivative of u divided by v. So what is that equal to? Write the second function here, square of second function, and in the numerator we have second function into derivative of first function minus first function derivative of second function, and for this case v must not be equal to 0, where v is not equal to 0. So these are the four properties we have. Okay. So after this we have a theorem, or we can say the relationship of continuity and differentiability. Of continuity and differentiability. Okay. So actually we have a theorem. What is that? If a function is differentiable at a point C, then it is also continuous at that point. Okay, so that means from here I can understand that differentiability implies continuity. That means if a function is differentiable, it must be continuous. So graphically, if I say, what do you mean by differentiability, or what is the derivative? Derivative means if I draw a curve, then at a point, if the derivative gives a tangent at this particular point, isn't it? So to draw a tangent at that point, the curve must be continuous. So suppose there is a break here. So can we draw a tangent in this point? No. So this theorem just explains this part. So from this we can write that a corollary that every differentiable function is a continuous function. So is the converse true? That is every continuous function a differentiable function? No. Let us see the converse part. For that, let us consider a function mod x. The function f of x given by mod x. Let us see for this case whether it is continuous or not, whether it is a differentiable or not. Clearly, this function is continuous. Why? Because we know that mod x is minus x when x is less than 0 and x when x is greater than equals to 0. So how to check the continuity? Clearly, f of at the point we need to check the continuity at x equal to 0. Fine. So at x equal to 0, this function will be continuous. How? Like the value of the function at x equal to 0 will be 0 here, because for x equal to 0 we have x, for x equal to 0, yeah. So this will be 0. Now let us take the left hand limit, that is limit x tends to 0 negative f of x. So what is that? This is 0 negative, that means less than 0, isn't it? So it will be limit x tends to 0. So in place of this we shall write minus x. So replace the x by 0, so we shall have 0. Similarly, the right hand limit will give us x tends to 0 positive f of x, and that will be equal to limit x tends to 0. So greater than 0 means x. So again replace it by 0, so we shall have 0. So here you can see that the left hand limit is equal to the right hand limit is equal to the value of the function. So thus we can say the modulus function is continuous. Clear? Now let us check whether this function is differentiable or not. So if it is differentiable, what must exist? The left hand derivative must be equal to the right hand derivative at the point 0, because we are checking at the point 0. So at x is equal to 0, limit, this is our LF dash, because we write it as the left hand derivative at the point C. This is given by limit h tends to 0 negative f of x plus h minus f of x. So we are writing this from the definition divided by h. So what is that? Limit h tends to 0 negative. So in place of f of x plus h, sorry, here we have considered the point C, isn't it? So this will be C here, and this will also be C. Now in the next line I can write, so what is our C? C is 0 at x is equal to 0. So it will be limit h tends to 0 negative. So this will be f of 0 plus h minus f of 0 divided by h, and that is equal to limit h tends to 0 negative. So f of 0 plus h will be f of h minus f of 0 divided by h, and that is equal to limit h tends to 0 negative. So in place of f of h, what is our function? This h is, you can see here h is tending towards 0 negative. That means the value we need to consider this part, less than 0. So for less than 0, what value we have for f of x? It is minus x. So here in place of h we shall write minus h, and for f at the point 0 we have x, that is equal to 0, so divided by h. So at this point we can remove the h minus, so we shall be remaining with, and with this also, minus h by h, and that is equal to minus 1. For the right hand limit Rf dash at the point 0 we have limit h tends to 0 positive, and it is given by 0 plus h minus f of 0 divided by h, and that is equal to limit h tends to 0 positive, so this will be f of h minus f of 0 divided by h. And what is that equal to? Here we can see that we have taken h tends to 0 positive, that means greater than 0, so we need to consider x. So what is our f of h? It is actually mod h, so I can write directly in place of mod h I can write x, sorry, h minus 0 by h, so that is equal to h by h, and this is equal to 1. So clearly the left hand limit, sorry, the left hand derivative is not equal to the right hand derivative, isn't it, at the point 0. So since these two are not same, so we can say that the derivative does not exist. So we have got a function which is continuous but not differentiable. So this is a very important counter example to counter that theorem, that is, differentiability implies continuity, but continuity does not imply differentiability. So next we have composite functions. So what is composite function? In your first chapter you have got, that means if you have two functions u and v, and if you want to take the composition of functions, so composition of u and v is given by v o u, and this is a new function, isn't it? So in our differentiability, how to find the derivative of such functions? So here, for that we shall use chain rule. Fine. So what is chain rule? Let f be a real valued function which is composite of two functions, that is u and v. Then the function is given by v composition u. Now, if such a case arises, then you have to suppose that t is a function of we have to suppose that t is equal to ux, where u is a function of x, and if both the derivative, that is dt by dx and dv by dt exist, then we can write df by dx is equal to dv by dt multiplied by dt by dx, or ddt of x. Okay, sorry, ddt ddx of t. Okay, so leave the definition now. So suppose you have got earlier y is equal to sin x. How to do the derivative of this? In your first year you have done, that is ddx of y will give us ddx of sin x, and what is that? That will be equal to cos x, isn't it? Also you have got like y is equal to, if it is x square plus 3, then what will be the derivative of this? dy by dx will give us twice x, isn't it? And this will be 0. So these are very easy. Now what if I replace the x by x squared plus 1? So what shall we do in such a case? Here see, this x squared plus 1 is not x. That means we cannot directly apply the rule or the formula that we have got previously. So in such a case, what we need to do, let us see. In such a case, if this is our formula, or this is our function, that is y is equal to sine of x squared plus 1. So what we need to do? We need to consider this as t, the second function, that is let t is equal to x squared plus 1. Fine? So what will be y? Y will be equal to sine of t. Now if you take the derivative, that is dy by dx, so we shall get what? dy by dt, so we shall get cos t here, and dt by dx will give us, what is our dt by dx? Sorry, ddx of t, that is ddx of x squared plus 1, and that will be equal to twice x, isn't it? Now, using the chain rule, our initial purpose was to take the derivative of y with respect to x. So if we find dy by dx, that will be equal to dy by dt into dt by dx. Now what is our dy by dt? It is cos t. And what is our dt by dx? It is twice x. So we shall have twice x cos of, and in place of t replace it by x squared plus 1. So this is our answer. Fine. Now more simply, like this is the general case, and after doing a few problems you will see that we can easily do such kind of problems. Like if I have this function, then just in your mind assume that this is our t. Fine. So I want to take the derivative of this function with respect to x. So what is our sine of x? It will be cos of whatever is there. Assume that this is the x. So this will be x squared plus 1. And but this is not x, isn't it? So we have to take the derivative of ddx of x squared plus 1. So that will be equal to cos x squared plus 1 into twice x. So there is our answer. So we are getting the same answer, isn't it? Now let us see a problem from exercise 5.2. Here we have considered the question number 4. So it is given sec of 10 root x. So let us write y is equal to sec of 10 root x. So we need to take the derivative of this. So just write taking derivative with respect to x. What will be it? It will be dy by dx, and that will be equal to d dx of sec 10 root x. So what will be that? Now one option you have, that using the chain rule, at first you can consider this as t, then you can consider the 10 of this as s or any other variable, and then you can write using the chain rule that df of dx is equal to dv of dt, then dt of ds, and then ds of dx. So you can break it, or else you can do directly. This is also the chain rule, but I am just doing it directly. So here, what is ddx of sec x? Consider this as x. So ddx of sec x is sec x. So our x is this, that is 10 root x, and sec x 10x. That is the formula of ddx of sec x. So in place of x, you can write 10 of root x. Now, is this x? No, this is not x. So just write ddx of 10 root x. Fine. In the next line, we have sec 10 root x, 10 of 10 root x. Now what is ddx of 10 root x? Or if I consider this as x, so what is ddx of 10x? It is sec square x. Now sec square, what will be the x? X will be our root x. Again, this root x is not the x, isn't it? So again we need to take ddx of root x here. Fine. Now what will be that is equal to? That is equal to sec x, sec of 10x, then 10 of 10 root x, sec square root x, and ddx of root x is 1 by 2 root x. So that is the answer. Or you can, in the next time, you can just simplify it and bring the two this side, same thing. Okay. So this is how we do the derivative of composite functions, and this is very important. So once you practice them more, so you will be really friendly with them. And next, let us do question number 7. It's very easy. So let us consider y is equal to 2 root over cot x square. So differentiating y with respect to x, what we have, dy by dx or the dx of y. So remember one thing, that this is not divide. Okay, some of you sometimes get confused. This is not divide. This is dy by ddx of y. ddx is an operator. That will be equal to, see here, this we have got a formula that ddx of ax is equal to a, and that means I need to take the derivative of this, or I can write this is it. So here this 2 is a constant, so we can just bring it out. Then ddx of root cos x square. So what is that? ddx of root x. Consider the cos x square as x. So what is ddx of root x? It will be 1 by 2 root cot x square. Now, since I have considered cot x square as the x, so now ddx of, you have to take cos x square again here. Sorry, cot x square again. Now to cancel out the 2's, it will be 1 by root over cot x square. Now what is ddx of cot x? It is minus cos x square x. I can give a bracket here. So now since this x square is not the x, isn't it? So we need to take the derivative of x square again. That will be equal to 1 by, I can bring the minus here. So cos sec square x square divided by cot x square, and ddx of x square will be twice x. So that will be the answer. You can just bring the 2 before. Now let us see question number 10. Here the function is given fx is equal to greatest integer function x. We need to check the continuity at the point x is equal to 2. Fine. And they have taken the interval, that is the value of x ranges from 0 to 3. So in the question they have asked to show that this function is discontinuous at x is equal to 2. So let us see. So the derivative does not exist at this point. So clearly this function is defined throughout the real number, also in the interval, because for whatever value we put here, we should get an integer. Okay. Now at x is equal to 2, LF dash 2, let us take the left hand derivative, that will be equal to limit h tends to 0 negative f of c, that is our 2 plus h minus f of 2 divided by h, and that will be equal to limit h tends to 0. Now you see, here I am considering the number 0 negative, that means it will be less than 0, isn't it? So since h is less than 0, that means h will be something minus 0.0001, something like that. It will be the nearest number to 1, but it will be the nearest number to 0, but not 0, isn't it? So if I add this number with 2, suppose if I add this number with 2, so this will give us what? 2 minus 0.0001, so this will be 1.9999 and so on. So if I take the greatest integer of this, I shall get 1 here, isn't it? So this will give us, in place of this I can write the greatest integer function, just give a negative, 2 plus h minus greatest integer function 2 divided by h. So using this result or this explanation, and that will be equal to limit h tends to 0. So here in place of this, since it's a decrement, h is a decrement, so I shall get here 1, and this will be 2 divided by h. So this gives us minus 1 by 0, and that is undefined, isn't it? Now let us take the right hand derivative, that is r dash at the point 2, is limit h tends to 0 positive f of 2 plus h minus f of 2. So this will divide by h. Now this will give us limit h tends to 0 positive. So what is our f of 2 plus h? F of 2 plus h is the greatest integer function 2 plus h minus 2 divided by h. Now here we can see that this h is an increment of 0. So it is just you can say that h is 0.111 or sorry 0.0001, something like that. So if I add 2 plus 0.001 or something, so it will be 2 again, because if we have a great integer function, suppose 2.1, it gives us 2 only. So minus 2 divided by h, and that is equal to 0 by h, which is equal to 0. So clearly the left hand derivative and the right hand derivative does not match, isn't it? They are not equal, and also in this case this is infinite or undefined. So therefore f dash x does not exist at x is equal to 2. So try for x is equal to 1. So that will be the end of our exercise 5.2, and in the next video we shall come up with implicit functions. So till then, stay home and stay safe.